A giant charged in Sally's direction, and then, bam! She pulled out a shotgun from a police car and blasted the monster into nothing. "Mom?" Percy exclaimed. "Where in the heck did you learn to use a shotgun?" "This summer I met your father," she said. "I may or may not have had at least one dangerously exciting adventure with him before saying goodbye." "Percy, listen," Sally continued. "We'll be okay. Just do what you need to do." "Come on, Percy, let's go!" Annabeth exclaimed. As they climbed the steps, there was a tremor under their feet. No one noticed until seconds later that the Hera statue started toppling to the side. "Annabeth!" Thalia cried. She shoved Annabeth and Percy out of the way in time, but the statue slammed right on Thalia's legs, pinning her to the steps. They couldn't pull her out, and the statue was too heavy to move without a dozen Cyclopes. "Just go," Thalia said. "I'll be fine. Don't hesitate another second to stop Kronos." They didn't like it, but they knew she was right. It was Hera," Annabeth realized. "She was trying to get back at me again. She would have killed me. She's gonna pay for this." "Yeah, don't let her hear you say that," Percy said. "Grover, protect him, please," Thalia whimpered. "With my life, my lady," he answered confidently. Once the trio stepped inside, they saw Kronos standing in the middle of the throne room. Ethan stood at his side. There was no sign of Hestia or Rachel or Bessie, which really worried Percy. He really hoped Kronos hadn't already slaughtered them. The hearth was almost dead. There was just a tiny flame barely spewing out.
"Finally," Kronos bellowed, "the Olympian console, so proud and mighty. Which seat of power shall I destroy first? The king's? The queen's? The throne of the father of my arch-enemy?" "I know," he continued, pointing at Hermes' throne. "How about the throne of the one god that made all this possible?" Then he quickly turned around and pointed at Percy. Apparently he already knew he was standing there the whole time. "Or how about you first, Jackson?" he asked, smiling. "Is that the choice you will make, to fight me and die instead of bowing down? Prophecies never end well, you know."
"Luke would fight with a sword," Percy said, "but I guess you don't have his skill." Kronos sneered. Then his sight began to change until he held Luke's old weapon, Backbiter. Annabeth gasped, like she suddenly had an idea. "Percy, the blade! The hero's soul-cursed blade shall reap!" That line wasn't exactly a morale booster. He didn't know why she brought it up now. But before he could say anything, Kronos raised his sword. Percy jumped out of the way, then their swords clashed, and Percy pulled him around, and then they locked blades. Ethan was about to jump in, but Annabeth intercepted him. Grover played his pipes, filling Percy with warmth and courage. Then Percy's and Kronos' swords were locked, and Annabeth saw her chance to intervene. But then Kronos flicked his hand and sent her flying into her mother's throne, crumbling to the floor. "Annabeth!" Percy cried. Ethan got to his feet, and Kronos managed to pull Percy to the floor. He now lay between Kronos and Ethan.
"Now, Nakamura," he called. "Time to prove yourself. You know Jackson's secret weakness. Kill him now, and you shall have rewards beyond measure."
Ethan looked at Percy's midsection, and Percy could tell he knew. Even if he didn't have the guts to do it, he could have just told Kronos so Kronos could do it himself. So what was he waiting for? "Ethan, please," Percy begged. "The world is falling apart. Is this really what you want? Do you really want everything and everyone destroyed? The good, the bad, and the everything? You told me your mom is the goddess of balance, that when someone has too much, she evens it up, right? So maybe the minor gods don't have the same respect as the Olympians. Maybe they do deserve better, but total destruction isn't balanced, Ethan. Kronos doesn't build, he only destroys." Ethan swayed to Grover's music, as if it were filling him with nostalgia, like a wish to see a beautiful day, anywhere but here. He blinked. Then he raised his sword and charged at the Titan Lord's neck. Unfortunately, the blade just shattered on impact, and Ethan felt his stomach in his throat. He stomped his foot, and the floor cracked under Ethan's feet. The son of Nemesis fell through the floor, straight through the heart of the mountain, straight into open air. Percy's only thought was to keep Kronos away from Annabeth. Their blades clashed in a shower of sparks. Kronos was stronger, but for a moment, Percy felt the power of the ocean flowing through his muscles. He managed to swing Kronos around again. Then he swung Riptide and cut the straps off his armor, causing them to fall off.
"It's too late, Jackson," he said. "Behold!"
He pointed to the hearth, and the flames revealed an image of Typhon. He made it to New York, and was marching through the Hudson River. The Olympians were struggling to hold him back. They kept attacking with fire and lightning and arrows and whatever else they could throw at him.
"The Olympians are giving their final effort," Kronos said. "How pathetic."
Zeus shot some thunder at Typhon, and the blast shook up the world. Percy could feel the shock while he was still inside the palace. When the dust cleared, the black smoke that embraced Typhon's body was lifted, and Percy saw his horrifying form clearly for the first time. Typhon was still standing strong, and he roared in anger so loudly it shook up the world. Percy thought to himself, "Dad, please, whatever you're planning, it has to be now." Like a miracle, a conch horn roared in the air, and a 40-foot geyser burst out of the Hudson River, followed by a chariot driven by Percy's dad. It was his dad the way he knew him, younger-looking, strong, handsome, and healthy again. That sight made Percy so happy he almost felt like crying.
"Now, my brethren," Poseidon ordered, "strike for Olympus!"
An army of Cyclops warriors burst out of the surface, riding hippocampi. Leading them into battle was Tyson, and Briareus was standing by his side. Most of the Cyclopes held what seemed to be celestial bronze handles. When Tyson raised his club, Percy saw that they were actually net guns. Their nets spread out so wide they wrapped around Typhon. Typhon shook and roared, yanking at the nets, but they were so strong, even for him. Then Poseidon pounded his trident, and a huge hole in the ocean floor sucked Typhon down like a huge drain, going straight to Tartarus. Typhon was gone, and Poseidon had won. Kronos totally lost it.
"No!"
"They should be on their way," Percy said. "You have lost."
"No," Kronos growled. "No, no, no! I haven't even started!"